Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Clarabelle Nightingale here, back at it with another video. And where we left off in the last episode, we were reading from the Hunger Games. So that is what we are going to continue to do. And I'm gonna remember to start the timer this time because, yeah, that would be bad. Anyways, so where we left off, we were on page 12. We weren't even on chapter 2 yet. I just kind of had to end off the video. But the mayor's daughter, Mage, opens the door. She's in my year at school. Being the mayor's daughter, you expect her to be a snub, but she's alright. She just keeps to herself, like me. Since neither of us really has a group of friends, we seem to end up together a lot at school, eating lunch, sitting next to each other at assemblies, partnering for sports activities. We rarely talk, which suits us both just fine. Today, her drab school outfit has been replaced by an expensive white dress, and her blonde hair is done up with a pink ribbon, reaping clothes. Oh dear, wolves. We have wolves. Oh, we do. If it's the octopus, I won't be surprised. Keeping an eye on Rage because he's the farthest from the bank. Or she, I don't remember. Rage! Go! Oh. Here she is. Junction Butte? What the heck? Okay, so she's just a yearling. We're good. We don't need to kill her. Pretty dress, says Gale. Meg shoots him a look, trying to see if it's a genuine compliment, or if he's just being ironic. It is a pretty dress, but she would never be wearing it ordinarily. She presses her lips together and then smiles. Well, if I end up going to the Capitol, I want to look nice, don't I? Now it's Gale's turn to be confused. Does she mean it? Or is she messing with him? I'm guessing the second. You won't be going to the Capitol, says Gale coolly. His eyes land on a small circular pin that adorns her dress. Real gold. Perfectly crafted. It could keep a family in bread for months. What can you have? 5 entries? I had 6 when I was just 12 years old. That's not her fault, I said. No, it's no one's fault. Just the way it is, says Gale. Mage's face becomes closed off. She puts the money for the berries in my hand. Good luck, Katniss. You too, I say, and the door closes. We walk toward the scene in silence. I don't like that Gale took a dig at Mage, but he's right, of course. The reaping system is unfair, and the poor getting the worst of it. With the poor getting the worst of it. You become eligible for the reaping the day you turn 12. That year, our name is entered once, at 13 twice, and then so on until you reach the age of 18, the final year of eligibility. You know when your name goes into the pool 7 times. That's true for every citizen in all 12 districts in the entire country of Panim. But here's the catch. Say you are poor and starving as we are. You can opt to add your name more times in exchange for tesserats. Each tessera is worth a meager year's supply of grain and oil for one person. You may do this for each of your family members as well. So at the age of 12, I had my name entered 4 times. Once because I had to, and 3 times for tesserets for grain and oil for myself, Prim, and my mother. In fact, every year I have needed to do this, and the entries are cumulative. So now, at the age of 16, my name will be in the reaping 20 times. Gail, who is 18 and has been either helping or single-handedly feeding a family for 5 for 7 years, will have his name in 42 times. You can see why someone like Mage, who has never been at risk of needing a tesserus, can see him off. The chance of her being drawn is very slim compared to those of us who live in the seam. Not impossible, but slim, and even though the rules were set by the capital, not the districts, certainly not Mage's family, it's hard not to resent those who don't have to sign up for the tesserus. And I skipped it again, didn't I? Yes, I did. Gale knows his anger at Mage is misdirected. On other days, deep in the woods, I've listened to him rant about how the tesserus is just another tool to cause misery in our district. A way to plant hatred between the starving workers of the seam and those who can genuinely count on supper and therapy ensure we will never trust one another. It's to the capital's advantage to have us divided among ourselves. He might say if there were no ears to hear but mine, if it wasn't reaping day, if a girl with a gold pin and no tesserus had not made what I'm sure he thought was a harmless comment. What I'm sure she thought was a harmless comment. As we walk, I glance over at Gale's face, still smoldering underneath his stony expression. His rage seems pointless to him, although I never say so. It's not that I don't agree with him, I do. But what good is yelling about the capital in the middle of the woods? It doesn't change anything. It doesn't make things fair. It doesn't fill our stomachs. In fact, it scares off the nearby game. I let him yell, though. Better he does it in the woods than in the district. Gale and I divide our spoils, leaving 2 fish, a couple of loaves of good bread, greens, a quart of strawberries, salt, parfum, and a bit of money for each. See you in the square, I say. Wear something pretty, he says flatly. At home, I find my mother and sister are ready to go. My mother wears a fine dress from apothecary days. Prim's in my first reaping outfit, a skirt and a ruffled blouse. It's a bit big on her, but my mother has made it stay with pins. Even so, she's having trouble keeping the blouse tucked in at the back. A tub of warm water waits for me. I scrub off the dirt and sweat from the woods and wash my hands. To my surprise, my mother has laid out one of her own lovely dresses for me, a soft blue thing with matching shoes. Are you sure? I ask. I'm trying to get past rejecting offers of help from her for a while. I was so angry. I won't allow her to do anything for me. And this is something special. Her clothes from her past are very precious to her. Of course, let's put your hair up too, she says. I let her towel dry it and braid it up on my head. I can hardly recognize myself in the cracked mirror that leans against the wall. You look beautiful, says Prim in a hushed voice, and nothing like myself, I say. I hug her, because I know these next few hours will be terrible for her. Her first reaping. She's about as safe as you can get. Since she's only entered once, I wouldn't allow her to take any tesserus. But she's worried about me, that the unthinkable might happen. I protect Prim in every way I can. but I'm powerless against the reaping. The anguish I always feel when she's in pain wells up in my chest and threatens to register on my face. I noticed her blouse was pulled out of her skirt in the back again, and I forced myself to stay calm. Tuck your tail in, little duck, I say smoothly. Smoothing the blouse back in place. Prim giggles and gives me a small quack. Quack yourself, I say with a light laugh. The kind only Prim can draw out of me. Come on, let's eat, I say, and plant a quick kiss on the top of her head. The fish and greens are already cooking in a stew, but that will be for supper. We decided to save the strawberries and bakery bread for this evening's meal. To make it special, we say. Instead, we drink milk from Prim's goat lady and eat the rough bread made from the tessera grain, though no one has much appetite anyway. At 1 o'clock, we head for the square. Attendance is mandatory unless you are on death's door. This evening, officials will come around and check to see if this is the case. If not, you'll be imprisoned. It's too bad, really, that they hold the reaping in the square, one of the few places in District 12 that can be pleasant. The square is surrounded by shops, and on public market days, especially if there's good weather, it has a holiday feel to it. But today, despite the bright banners hanging on the buildings, there's an air of grimness. The camera crews, perched like buzzards on rooftops, only add to the effect. People file in slightly and sign in. The reaping is a good opportunity for the capital to keep tabs on the population as well. "12 through 18-year-olds are herded into the roped areas marked off by ages. The oldest in the front, the youngest ones, like Prim, toward the back. Family members line up around the perimeter, holding tightly to one another's hands. But there are others, too, who have no one they love at stakes or who no longer care, who slip among the crowd, taking bets on the 2 kids whose names will be drawn. Odds are given on their ages, whether they're seam or merchant, if they will break down and weep. Most refuse dealing with the racketeers, but carefully. These same people tend to the informers and who hasn't broken the law. I could be shot on a daily basis for hunting, but the attendees of those in charge protect me. Not everyone can claim the same. Anyway, Gal and I agree that if we have to choose between dying of hunger and a bullet in the head, the bullet would be much quicker. The space gets tighter, more claustrophobic as people arrive. The square is quite large, but not enough to hold District 12 population of about 8,000. Latecomers are directed to the adjacent streets, where they can watch the event on screens as it's televised by the state. I find myself standing in a clump of 16s from the scene. We all exchange terse nods and focus our attention on the temporary stage that is set up before the Justice Building. It holds 3 chairs, a podium, and 2 large glass balls, one for the boys and one for the girls. I stare at the paper slides in the girls' ball. 20 of them have Katniss Everdeen written on them in careful handwriting. 2 of the 3 chairs fill with Meg's father, Mayor Undersea, who's a tall, balding man, and Effie Trinket, District 12 escort, fresh from the capital with her scary white grin, pinkish hair, and a spring green suit. They murmur to each other, and then look with concern at the empty seat. Just as the town clock strikes 2, the mayor steps up to the podium and begins to read. It's the same story every year. He tells the history of Panem, the country that rose up out of the ashes of a place that was once called North America. He lists the disasters, the droughts, the storms, the fires, the encroaching seas that swallow up most of the land, the brutal war for what little sustenance remained. The result was Panem, a shining capital rigged by 13 districts, which brought peace and prosperity to its citizens. Then came the dark days, the uprising of the districts against the capital. 12 were defeated, the 13 obliterated. The Treaty of Treason gave us new laws to guarantee peace, and as our yearly reminder that the dark days must never return, it gave us the Hunger Games. The rule of the Hunger Games are simple. In punishment for the uprising, each of the 12 districts must provide 1 girl and 1 boy, each tributes, to participate. The 24 tributes will be imprisoned in a vast outdoor arena that could hold anything from a burning desert to a frozen wasteland. Over a period of several weeks, the competitors must fight to the death. The last tribute standing wins. Taking the kids from our districts, forcing them to kill one another while we watch. This is the capital's way of reminding us how totally we are at their mercy. How little chance we would stand of surviving another rebellion. Whatever words they use, the real message is clear. Look, how we take your children and sacrifice them, and there's nothing you can do. If you lift a finger, we will destroy every last one of you, just like we did in District 13. To make it humiliating as well as tortures, the capital requires us to treat the Hunger Games as a festivity, a sporting event, pitting every district against the others. Pitting every district against the others. The last tribute alive receives a life of ease back home, and their district will be showered with prizes, largely consisting of food all year. The capital will show the winning district gifts of grain and oil and even delicates like sugar, while the rest of us battle starvation. It is both a time for repentance and a time for thanks, intones the mayor. Then he reads the list of past District 12 victors. In 74 years, we have had exactly 2. Only 1 is still alive. Haymatch Abernethy, a patchy middle-aged man who at this moment appears hollering something ineligible, staggers onto stage and falls into the 3rd chair. He's drunk. Very. The crowd responds with its token applause, and he's confused and tries to give Effie Trinket a big hug, which she barely manages to fend off. The mayor looks distressed. Since all of this is being televised. Right now, District 12 is the laughingstock of Panin, and he knows it. He quickly tries to pull the attention back to the reaping by introducing Effie Trinket. Bright and bubbly as ever, Effie Trinket trots to the podium and gives her signature Happy Hunger Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Her pink hair must be a wig because her curls have shifted slightly off-center since her encounter with Haymatch. She goes on a bit about what an honor it is to be here, although everyone knows she's just aching to get bumped up to a better district where they have proper victors, not drunks who molest you in front of the entire nation. Through the crowd, I spot Gale, looking back at me with a ghost of a smile. As reapings go, this one at least has a slight entertainment factor, but suddenly I am thinking of Gale and his 42 names in the big glass ball, and how the odds are not in his favor. Not compared to a lot of the odds that are not compared to a lot of the boys, but maybe he's thinking the same thing about me because his face suddenly darkens and turns away. But there are still thousands of slips. I wish I could whisper to him. It's time for the drawing. Effie Trinket says, as she always does, ladies first, and crosses to the glass ball with the girls' names. She reaches in, digs her hand deep into the ball, and pulls out a slip of paper. The crowd draws in a collective breath, and then you can hear a pin drop. And I'm feeling nauseous and so desperately hoping that it's not me, that it's not me, that it's not me. Effie Trinket crosses back to the podium, smooths the slip of paper, and reads out the name in a clear voice. And it's not me. It's Primrose Everdeen. So the timer did go off, which means we gotta end off the video here. Not the best place to really end off a video, but you know. Anyways, if you guys did enjoy this video, then you might like others. Please make sure you give this video a good old pause up and subscribe. Also, make sure you hit that bell notification so that way you don't miss any single time I upload. I really do hope you enjoy it. Make sure you give this video a good old pause up and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, and bye guys.